gonna have my husband. Like, you don't always come to my stuff.
My husband made her pregnant and cheated me. Please support me.
I broke it.
If you divorce me, I'm gonna pursue you till I get you back.
I did tell her.
And I was like,
in every little girl's life, a father is supposed to be the first hero, the first protector, the first safe place in a world that can feel unpredictable and cruel. He is meant to be the shelter when storms come, the steady hand when life gets heavy. But for Leia Simone, that sense of safety slowly turned into something she could no longer recognize. The harbor she once trusted didn't just crack. It became the very place where confusion, discomfort, and emotional pain quietly took root. Imagine growing up believing someone is your protector, only to realize that the same person is the source of your deepest emotional unrest. Imagine trying to explain a kind of pain that leaves no bruises, no police reports, no courtroom evidence. Just sleepless nights, heavy silence, and a constant feeling that something isn't right. That is the painful reality. Leia Simone says she lived behind closed doors. For years, the world watched Tina Campbell fight battles in public. People saw the heartbreak. They saw the infidelity scandals involving her husband, Teddy Campbell. They saw the emotional interviews, the tears, the public apologies, and the long journey of forgiveness. Tina became the face of resilience, a woman determined to keep her marriage and family standing no matter how hard life hit. She was praised for her strength. She became a symbol of loyalty, of faith, of standing by your man when the world says walk away. Books were written, songs were sung, interviews were given. Their marriage became a testimony of restoration. But while the public was focused on the husband and wife, trying to rebuild their image, something much darker was quietly unfolding inside their own home. Their daughter, Leia Simone, was living a reality no one could see. She wasn't just a witness to her parents' marriage struggles. She was carrying her own private burden, one far more difficult to explain because it lived in the gray area people often ignore. Not a criminal scandal, not physical abuse, but something that can be just as damaging. Emotional boundary violations that slowly steal your sense of peace. Leia recently broke her silence, and what she revealed wasn't about headlines or attention. It was about survival. She described a shift in her relationship with her father, a subtle change that didn't happen overnight. It began with conversations, late-night phone calls that lasted too long, personal discussions that moved beyond normal father-daughter talks and entered emotional territory that felt too heavy, too intimate, too uncomfortable. At first, discomfort like that doesn't come with a clear label. It feels like confusion. It feels like guilt. It feels like questioning yourself. You wonder if you're overreacting. You tell yourself, maybe it's nothing. Maybe this is normal. Maybe this is just closeness. But when boundaries are crossed slowly, they often become dangerous before you even realize you're standing inside the danger. Leia described being pushed into the role of emotional confidant, a place no child should ever have to occupy. Instead of simply being a daughter, she felt like she was carrying the emotional weight of a grown man who should have been protecting her, not leaning on her. That kind of pressure changes everything. She spoke about closeness that felt forced, conversations that felt inappropriate for the sacred space between parent and child, emotional dependence that left her mentally exhausted. There were no laws broken, no crimes anyone could prosecute, but trauma doesn't always arrive wearing handcuffs. Sometimes trauma sounds like your phone ringing late at night. Sometimes trauma sounds like words a daughter should never have to hear from her father. Sometimes trauma is being made responsible for someone else's emotional stability while your own childhood quietly disappears. That is the kind of pain that often goes unseen, because people only recognize trauma when it leaves visible scars. But emotional boundary blurring leaves invisible wounds that can last for years. How do you explain to people that your father is too close? How do you tell your mother that the love everyone calls normal feels like a burden you cannot carry? How do you speak when your silence is the only thing holding your family's image together? For Leia, silence became its own prison. Every time Tina Campbell posted smiling family photos, every time she spoke about healing, forgiveness, and God restoring what was broken, Leia was living the opposite reality. While the world celebrated the comeback story, she was trying to survive inside the house where peace no longer existed. Imagine watching your mother fight to prove your family is healed while you are privately drowning. That contradiction is devastating, because now speaking up doesn't just mean telling the truth, it means destroying the image your family built for years. It means risking being called disloyal. It means being blamed for exposing what others worked so hard to hide. And in deeply religious communities, that pressure becomes even heavier. Honor thy father and mother stops feeling like guidance and starts feeling like a sentence. Leia knew speaking publicly would come with consequences. She knew people would question her motives. She knew some would accuse her of trying to destroy her father's reputation. She knew she might lose the support system she had known her entire life. But there comes a point where staying silent costs more than speaking. And for Leia, that point finally arrived. The distance she created from her father wasn't rebellion. It was self-preservation. She had to step away from the person she was supposed to trust the most, because remaining close was costing her peace, her mental health, and ultimately, her sense of self. That is the true tragedy here. This family survived public infidelity, only to be brought to its knees by private emotional pain. While the world focused on affairs and forgiveness, the deeper wound was growing in silence inside their daughter. And now, with Leia speaking openly, the spotlight shifts to the woman standing in the center of it all, Tina Campbell. For years, Tina has been the symbol of restoration. She fought for her marriage. She defended her husband. She preached grace. She became living proof that broken things could be repaired. But how does a mother reconcile that testimony with the reality that her own daughter felt emotionally unsafe around the man she chose to stand beside? This is where the story becomes heartbreaking beyond scandal, because now this is no longer just about infidelity. This is about motherhood. It is about the unbearable realization that while you were fighting to save your marriage, your child may have been silently begging for protection. There is a specific kind of pain that comes when a mother realizes she may have prioritized her husband's healing over her daughter's safety. That pain is not easy to pray away. That pain does not disappear with another sermon. That pain sits in the silence of your home and asks questions no one wants to answer. Did I miss the signs? Did my loyalty blind me? Did I protect the wrong person? For Tina, this may be the deepest spiritual crisis of her life. Because forgiving a husband for hurting you is one thing. Forgiving him for hurting your child is something else entirely. And for Teddy Campbell, the issue is no longer just about cheating or public embarrassment. It is about emotional responsibility. A father is supposed to be the ceiling that protects, not the weight that crushes. By placing his daughter in the role of emotional support, by blurring boundaries that should have remained sacred, he created damage that doesn't disappear with apologies. Even if there were no crimes, even if there were no arrests, even if outsiders struggle to understand it, a soul can still be wounded. A child can still be changed forever. That is what makes this story so painful. It exists in the gray area people struggle to talk about. No courtroom, no police file, just emotional confusion, violated trust, and a daughter trying to reclaim her voice. Public reaction has been divided. Some people dismiss Leia's story. Some accuse her of seeking attention. Some refuse to believe that emotional boundary violations can be traumatic without physical abuse. But those who have lived through similar experiences understand immediately. They understand what it means when someone says, "My father made me uncomfortable." They understand how devastating it is when home stops feeling safe. They understand why silence becomes unbearable. For them, Leia isn't creating drama. She is telling the truth. Many people never get the courage to speak, and sometimes telling the truth costs everything. For Tina, this leaves her standing in the impossible middle, a wife who loves her husband, a mother who must believe her daughter, a woman whose faith is now being tested in ways no public scandal ever could. Can grace cover this? Can forgiveness survive this? Can a family rebuild when the place that was supposed to protect its children became the source of their pain? Those are questions no gospel song can answer, because sometimes healing doesn't look like staying together. Sometimes healing looks like finally telling the truth. Sometimes survival means breaking the silence, even if it breaks the family too. Leia Simone's courage has forced people to confront something uncomfortable, that even the most admired families, the most spiritual homes, the most polished public images can hide private pain. Fame cannot protect children. Faith cannot erase boundaries. A perfect family photo cannot silence trauma. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson here. This was never just celebrity gossip. This was never just another scandal. This was a daughter choosing herself. A young woman deciding that protecting her peace mattered more than protecting a family brand. That choice is painful. That choice is costly. But sometimes it is the only path left. The Campbell family may never be the same after this. And maybe they shouldn't be, because healing built on silence is not healing at all. The cycle has been broken. The truth is out. And while the road ahead may be long, messy, and uncertain, at least it begins with honesty. As we close this chapter, one question lingers far beyond this family's story. How many more daughters are living this same reality behind closed doors? How many are carrying emotional burdens they were never meant to hold? How many are being told to stay silent for the sake of reputation, religion, or family pride? Leia Simone's story is bigger than one household. It is a reminder that peace matters. Boundaries matter. Children matter. And truth, even painful truth, matters. Because no family legacy is worth a child losing themselves in silence. And no daughter should ever have to choose between protecting her family's image and protecting her own soul.